So I've been playing Borderlands 2 for a while now, and I like to think I know a thing or two about the game. I mean, with an estimated 4,000 hours of playtime between PC and console, I would hope I'm some type of professional by now. That being said, when I see speedrunners like Deceptix or Darksmoke play, I feel all that confidence wash away. And one day, I decided to try speedrunning for myself. So I looked at some categories to see which one I wanted to learn. The UVHM geared category looked fun, but as you could guess, this one isn't very beginner friendly. The any percent speedrun is definitely better for a first timer, but I'm too lazy to figure out how to down patch the game to use the infinite ammo glitch. Imagine downloading some random software just to speedrun a game, that would be crazy. Anyway, after some research and watching some runs, I found a run that didn't only look easy to learn, it looked beatable. And that run was Current Patch 0. So without further ado, this is how I got a world record in Borderlands 2. Alright, so everybody has to start somewhere, and my first day of speedrunning was going to be the biggest warm-up mankind has ever seen. I went into this practically blind, with no knowledge of dialogue skips, when to save quit, or optimal routes. I knew some of the tricks from casually watching other speedrunners and playing myself, but a lot of the tiny details and strats didn't show up until later. So day one was entirely recon, brute forcing my way through the game and making mental notes for what I had to learn. For example, after killing Flint, it's optimal to farm to level 7 by traveling back to the southern shelf and killing Boom Boom. I didn't do this on my first run, and by the time I hit Frostburn Canyon, I wasn't able to use the last go I needed to kill all the psychos here. And yeah, I played a lot of Borderlands 2, but this whole situation felt extremely foreign to me. A big part of the learning curve here was figuring out how to use live split and actually remembering to mark my splits. If at any point you're watching this video and you look over here and something doesn't seem right, you're right, it doesn't. The whole run was full of misplays, but every misplay was a lesson. A lesson I was glad to learn and grow as a player. I mean, just look at how happy I look when I save quit in Sanctuary but end up back at Claptrap's boat. Crazy. Did I save quit too early? Is that what happened there? What happened there, chat? What did I do wrong? Somebody learn me, please. You didn't hit the gritty. Oh my god. And I don't have the fast travel either. And it's gonna make me run back. Okay, can somebody say something helpful and not brain rot? Oh my. Yeah, I'm not forgetting to drive next to that fast travel ever again. There were a lot of sloppy moments throughout this run, and instead of going through every hardship, I'll use day one to describe the differences between this category and a normal any percent run. In normal any percent runs, runners downpatch their game and travel through time to an era where infinite ammo shotgun spam gave you enough power to brute force the game and complete it at level 20. But since we don't have that kind of power here in the present, we are going to need some experience. And the most optimal way to get experience later in the game is doing the entire Clan Wars questline. This is not a joke, doing all these missions does make the run faster. Completing the questline and killing Mick Zafford and Tector Hodunk for 5 levels straight actually just saves you time. And on top of giving us enough levels to realistically push through the rest of the game, these two guys also give us some useful tools. Tector has a chance to give us the Slagga SMG, which is one of the best slagging weapons in the game, and killing Mick has a chance to give us the Maggie, a Jacob's pistol that has a ton of projectiles that can be spammed for some crazy damage. The farming process starts by killing Tector using Vor. Now this skill pretty much lets us one-shot Tector. Since Tector has Jimbo up on his shoulders and their hurt boxes are colliding, Vor will actually bounce the bullet between them until they both die. So we would kill Tector until we got a Slagga and were high enough level to use it before moving on to Mick Zafford. Now usually this quest only allows you to kill one of these guys, but if you kill them without killing all of their henchmen, you could save quit and it gives you the choice again. As soon as we have a way to slag Mick, we start killing him the best we can using the Triquetra we got along the quest line until we get a good Maggie. Once I feel like the Maggie I got was good enough for the rest of the run, I would then go back to one-shotting Tector for faster experience. So, if you haven't noticed already, the speedrun timer stops when in loading screens. This is because the loading times are different depending on how strong your PC is, and removing the loading time keeps the playing field level for everyone who wants to run this game. Sadly, there are people who legitimately think this is cheating and will die on that hill, but everything used in this video is 100% legal for the Borderlands 2 speedrun rules on speedrun.com. Anyway, while this XP farm feels like it takes forever, we are actually getting full boss kill experience about every 3 seconds of actual runtime. Well, assuming I'm not fumbling every Tector kill, but you get the idea. After we hit level 21.6, we finish the Clan Wars questline, drop the chalupa Mick gave us because fuck that thing, and continue on to the main game. From this point on, the Maggie and Slaga are going to be the only guns we use. Now, I wish I could tell you that this was how good my trigger finger was, but I've actually just bound my shoot key to scroll wheel up. And since I have a free scroll mouse, I could spam out shots pretty quickly. That being said, all of my combat for day 1 was really rough. Sure, I could put out some good DPS and spam out rounds quickly, but the thing about a free scroll mouse is that you can just let those rip and they keep spinning for a while. So if I wanted to stop shooting, I would also just have to manually stop the wheel. And also, since it's a free scroll mouse, it's extremely sensitive and would often just shoot on its own when simply moving my mouse around. Let's talk about the other direction. Our free scroll down was set to be our interact key. This is useful for some tech where you can spam interact on certain NPCs like Scooter and Lilith to get them to skip dialogue, or even make the Bloodshot bridge slam down faster. Having free scroll inputs is vital to getting a good time on these runs. But these things also have their downsides. Since our fire key and interact key are both on inputs you can't hold down, you can't do certain in-game actions like reviving Lilith, skipping the bleed out timer, or double shotting. Meaning for things like the Lilith revive, I would have to manually go into my settings, change my keybinds to revive that dumb giraffe, and then go back into my settings and change my controls back. Oh my god, this is awful. If you guys don't know me, I like my button layout in a very specific way. Playing with controls that are out of my norm is my version of touching wet food in the sink. That being said, I do find some tools later on in the journey that help with these problems, and I'll get into that later in the video. Anyway, I struggled through the rest of the game and concluded our first run with a time of 3 hours, 54 minutes, and 46 seconds. Not bad, right? Let's see how close we are to world record. Oh, okay. I guess we're gonna need to shave off about an hour and a half, so I've got some practice to do. Even being this far behind, I was still pretty confident that with enough practice, I could get this record. There was a good thing to note and a bad thing to note about the current record for the run. The good thing was that the current record was 5 years old. Plenty of new tech and skips have been discovered in those 5 years, so I could capitalize on those. But the scary thing about this record was that it was held by DarkSmoke11. If you don't know, DarkSmoke is an absolute beast when it comes to speedrunning, and I think he got this record on his first run while he was remembering the route. So the fact that he just woke up, threw himself at the game, and took record like that is terrifying. But remember, I did say this run looked beatable, so on my second run of the day, I pulled out the ace up my sleeve. So, by getting the warrior to step on a Crystallisk, we can use Boar and the invincible spots on the Crystallisk to stack enough damage to one-shot the warrior. Now this tech is tricky. You need to know where to lure the Crystallisks and also time them to be in the right spot when the warrior also decides to go to the right spot. And once you line these two things up, you have to stand far away from the warrior so that he takes a few steps forward when doing his fire breath attack to get him to step on the Lego of Death. Now this tech is extremely risky, but if you can get this kill immediately, it is a whopping 10-minute time save compared to DarkSmoke's slower spam from afar killing strat. This was the strat that made me believe that this world record was possible, and just like that, I already shaved another 40 minutes off of my personal best. But I still had another 50 minutes to shave off, so I came prepared the very next day. So after day 1, I found that my biggest issue was just that the gunplay while using my free scroll felt incredibly scuffed, so I acquired the first tool of the run, introducing the free scroll macro. Now, before you ask, the free scroll macro does not break any of the speedrun rules. The macro used is actually provided on the Borderlands speedrunning resources tab, and it is there for people who don't have a free scroll mouse just to keep a level playing field for everybody. With this macro, I could set any key to simulate free scroll inputs. And here's how I set mine up. I still had shoot bound to scroll up and interact set to scroll down, but now I had left click set to simulate scroll up, so I would be able to shoot the same way I always have. Then I set the 8 key to simulate scroll down. Now, some of you guys might be like, 8? And yeah, that's fair, but let me show you my beloved Razer Naga V2 Hyperspeed. This is not sponsored, but if Razer wants to throw money at me for saying how much I love this mouse, they can go right ahead. I really love the 12 side buttons that this thing has, and I've been utilizing them since before I started speedrunning this game. Here's my layout of inputs. As you can see, my right thumb takes over a lot of the work my left hand would usually be doing, and being able to do all of these actions without having to take my fingers off the movement keys just feels like a whole new level of play. If you're playing any build that swaps weapons a lot, like Deputy Sal or any orc swapping build, this will give you such an edge and probably save you from a lot of hand pain. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Later in the video, I have one of those input overlays show up, and if it looks like I'm just holding 8 down constantly, I do not have big hands. I just have a thumb. So, how does this help us? Well, first off, I won't have to manually stop my free scroll anymore when firing my Maggie, and now I can drop reload incredibly consistently. Since I'm always holding 8 down, I can constantly throw out interact inputs. So when I press my weapon drop key, I instantly pick it back up and the magazine is filled. You guys remember that sloppy Maggie gunplay from earlier? Well, check out how smooth it looks now. So since I only have the Maggie and Slaga equipped, drop reloading not only instantly fills my guns, it's also just faster than swapping weapons because it skips your first weapon's put away animation. And this is even smoother with Zero, because by the time you get the Maggie and Slaga, you also have enough extra skill points to throw into fast hands to make the transition even faster. And if I want to drop reload my gun but not swap to the other, all I have to do is double tap my drop key and both get drop reloaded, and it brings out the same weapon you were holding. Anyway, yeah, this was the beginning of my little mag dump arc. I'm gonna be honest, guys, after this speedrunning journey, I could not play Borderlands normally for a bit. I kept trying to drop reload my weapons. Reloading normally felt so long. It was just awful. And speaking of awful, the free scroll macro does come with some issues. First off, this doesn't help with things like double shotting or needing to hold E to revive Lilith, and it definitely doesn't help with Lilith being a complete and utter nuisance. Anyway, Lil's just killed me, right? Lilith! I swear to Anyway, the new issue that I had to deal with was that since left click was simulating free scroll up, using my inventory, trying to select missions, or using the fast travel gets way out of whack because you end up scrolling and clicking the wrong thing. What? Oh my god. This introduced extra layers of things I had to learn. For example, when in my inventory I started pressing E or enter to select things, and when fast traveling, I learned that you could just click on the map icon and avoid any weird scrolling shenanigans. I did not expect to have to memorize this map in order to speedrun this game. I mean, but hey, with my combat loop now more fluid than ever, I managed to end day 2 by shaving off another 17 minutes from my PB. And the only thing that would make this better would be a sub 3 on day 3. Yeah, so that didn't happen. I'm gonna be real with you guys, this stream was awful. I didn't even get to finish a run, really. So the game plan was to download yet another program to help the run. The idea was to find a program that could simulate Xbox controller inputs, and this would allow us to bypass the issue where I would have to swap keybinds to revive Lilith and waste precious time. Yes, this is allowed on the speedrun rules, and yes, I could have just plugged an Xbox controller in for the one time it's needed, but like I said, I'm a whiny baby and I would rather eat wet food out of the sink than have my layout be weird. The first program I tried gave me pop-up malware. I mean, don't worry, Queen Knight fixed it. And the second one would just generate lag with my free scroll macro over time. So like 20 minutes into the run, my mouse would just have 4 seconds of input lag, and it was just awful. After those two, I just caved and looked into Rewazd, which it worked, which is cool, but I also had to restart my computer, reset my stream, and it costed $40. Oh my god, guys, so I'm doing the voiceover right now, and it just came to me that I literally paid $40 whole to revive Lilith easier. Oh, that hurts. No, okay, cope time. No, I paid $40 to double shot Knuckle Dragger. Yeah, that's what I did. Yep, yeah. Anyway, the rest of day 3 was working out technical difficulties, and I'm down $40. So I think now is a good time to talk about our partner, GamerSupps. Since this is a speedrun video, I'll make this quick. Drink GamerSupps.
Also, make sure to use code LGM at checkout or use the link in the description to get 10% off the best energy drinks out there and support the channel in the process. Every tub sold also gets us closer to the LilGasmask waifu cup. Okay, on to day 4. Alright, so the first run of day 4 was a whole lot of practice. I wasn't going for fast times, I was looking to learn. So I think in this part of the video, I will go over the bulk of the big skips and strats used to plow through this game as quickly as possible. Some of this might be common sense that I'm saying, but for anyone that hasn't played Borderlands before and just likes speedrunning, I'll go over some of the more known stuff too. First off, a lot of save quitting happens in Borderlands speedruns. These are generally used to skip dialogue or to instantly get to fast travel stations. And some of these save quits don't seem like they make any sense. For example, after we kill Knuckle Dragger, we save quit, which seems pretty weird because we have to just run all the way back there, but this actually speeds Claptrap up and saves time in the long run. One of the first major tricks used in the speedrun is Flint Manip, short for Flint Manipulation, which is a strat runners use to kill Flint quickly and get Claptrap to start heading over to the ship without having to kill all of the mobs. To do this, you kinda have to bait out his first slam attack and then body block him to mess with his pathfinding. Here you would just shoot him in the face until he dies. Or in my case, I would shoot him in the face until I died. His mask usually blocks crits here, but since we are literally feeding him the barrel of our sniper, we could still get some damage in. Now, if everything lines up and you manage to kill Flint as the door that releases Burning Psychos is open, Claptrap will just ignore the rest of the bad guys and start making his way to the ship instantly. A cool little trick that saves a good chunk of time. Another strat we used similar to save quitting was death warping, which pretty much means dying on purpose to respawn where we want to go. For example, dying here after grabbing the power core will send us right to Sanctuary's front gate. A little bit later, we meet Badmont and start our first experience farm of the run. The strat to kill him is pretty simple. Throw skyrockets at him until he dies. Or in my case, throw skyrockets at him until I die. It's important not to be too underleveled in runs because you start losing damage on higher level enemies, chance to slag those enemies, and overall survivability. As we were killing him, we would pick up all the iridium he dropped for grenade ammo upgrades while also looking for a few things. First off, a rocket launcher. This would be useful for downing ourselves to skip the run to Wilhelm. Second, a Tesla grenade that would melt Wilhelm. And third, any decent crit damage weapon to help with the upcoming Warden fight. After we reach level 14, I quickly go to Sanctuary to get all the grenade ammo upgrades I could and then spend the rest on pistol and SMG ammo upgrades. Grenades are a priority here because up next was the fabled Bloodshot Super Skip. The ramparts here are filled with mobbing sections that just slow you down, so instead, we're going to grenade jump out of the map and skip all the bad guys. The first 2 jumps here are relatively easy to land, but the final double grenade jump is pretty tricky. A lot of you guys might know the 3 melee trick to time your double grenade jumps, but that one isn't very consistent for this jump. So what do runners do to hit this consistently? They pull out a fucking metronome. Using my phone, I would play a metronome of 88 beats per minute and throw my grenades matching the beats. Throw on 1, throw on 6, and jump on 9. This vastly increased my consistency here, and on this run, I landed all 3 jumps perfectly. After that, we jump over a wall to kill the Warden and save quit to skip all the extra fighting with Roland. There's not much new tech that happens at Tundra Express. There's a cool trick where if you're holding the free scroll macro and land right where Tina was standing, you could talk to her before she moves during the cutscene and save like 1 second, so that's funny. I gotta learn how to do this skip. Do I just try and talk to like where she's standing before the cutscene? And then when the cutscene ends, I just hold my free scroll? Is that what I do? It is what I do. A bit later down the run, we hit another major skip, which is the Overlook skip. After retrieving this beacon, you are normally supposed to protect it from a bunch of loaders and wait for it to send you a new fast travel. But instead, we are going to trip a failsafe in the game to skip all of that. If the beacon gets damaged 8 times, it becomes invincible. And since every time we save quit, it needs to be repaired again, we could set our spawn point to the Holy Spirit's bar, run up to repair the beacon, save quit, and repeat until the fast travel lands. Some tech for the Clan Wars questline. You can spawn extra cars and use them to teleport to later. This saves a lot of time when you have to jump between the Hodunks, Ellie, and Steve. Some of you guys might not know that the Barrel Technical is the fastest car in the game for some reason, so we try and use that when we can. Also, holding the brake key gives you more traction and gets you up to speed faster, so that's pretty neat. You can also skip the getting out of car animation if you tilt your car enough, which saves a few seconds. Also, during the Wakey Wakey quest, where you're supposed to slaughter everybody at the bar, you could just leave, and the game thinks you killed everyone, so that's kind of funny as well. After the Clan Wars XP farm, our next objective is to get Claptrap's upgrade from the Preserve. And there's some cool out-of-bounds skips here too. First off, the new door skip. Recently we found out that this whole mobbing section is skippable if you do a crouched grenade jump through this short gap in the door's geometry, and a bit later in the Preserve, we break out of bounds again and trigger the Bloodwing cutscene early so we don't have to wait as long to fight her. A whole lot of build-up for a fight that takes 4 seconds. A little bit later in the run, we fight the bunker, and by fight, I mean bore him. Anyway, after that, we skip the dumb slow elevator by jumping down here. I have never landed this dunk before, and I really wanted to learn this, but I just kept messing it up. In Angel Core, you could actually save quit before the cutscene plays to save Roland, which is pretty cool. One of the more scary sections of the run, Sawtooth Cauldron, has a brief moment of fun when you get to launch yourself with this conveyor belt. Whee! After blowing up the pipe at the boneyard, you could skip the route you worked so hard to create and just ramp up these rocks with your car. Big emphasis on you can, because I could not manage to do this for the life of me. I had to just keep grenade jumping up. After dealing with all the loaders at the Claptrap door, you can actually grenade jump around the door. This would be a pretty big time save if you didn't have to wait for Claptrap to stop yapping. Heroes Pass is fun because I could use a few grenades to skip all the fighting. Finally at the vault, we hit one more cool grenade jump to skip another slow elevator before body blocking Jack and giving him the treatment. This is where I learned a cool thing about drop reloading. If you empty your mag and start the reload animation, a phantom reload is still occurring. So when you start firing your mag again after drop reloading, you will notice that when the phantom reload would have been done, your mag is instantly filled. I seen this and I had no idea what it was, and I was like, dang, this run's gonna look like I cheated. But apparently it was a known thing I just didn't know about. And finally, to top it all off, we one-shot the warrior with Boar and shave another 4 minutes off the run. Wait, what? I've only got 7 more minutes to shave off what? All right, 7 more minutes to go. And those final 7 minutes will likely be the hardest ones to shave off. So let's talk about the optimizations. Day 5 was a rough one for me. I started off very strong, my early game aim was good, and I really felt myself getting faster. But I was getting too fast. On multiple occasions, I ended up killing the bad guys so fast that the objective wasn't even up yet, and I ended up soft-locking myself. And at that point, I was like, screw it, I just reset the whole run. It was reset hell. Even when things would go smoothly, I would look at the clock, see that I've done better in the past, and just want to reset. And now, Reset Hell is a place I'm familiar with, because while this is my first experience speedrunning Borderlands, I do hold records in 73 different Bigfoot speedrun categories. Yeah, I bet learning that wasn't on your 2025 bingo sheet. Anyway, that game is super RNG heavy, and 99% of runs fail because you just don't find Bigfoot in time. And having a big skill check at the end of a run that you usually don't even see Bigfoot makes you rusty when you actually have to perform. And the same kind of applies to late game Borderlands here, especially when the warrior kill is so heavy on manipulating crystalisks. So practicing your endgame is extremely important. For Bigfoot, that means pretending Bigfoot is in front of you and doing a mock fight to keep the muscle memory ready. But for Borderlands 2, that means completing a run and getting late game practice even though you know you have no chance at a PB. And by golly, that's what I did. I put my hope for record aside and just committed to completing a run. And just like that, on day 5, I got a new personal best, shaving another 4 minutes off, making me only 3 minutes away from the world record. I was so close, so I decided to go in for one more run on that day. And everything was going so well. You've seen it here, my first ever dunk. And by the time I hit Claptrap door, the run wasn't just on pace to be another PB, it was on pace to be a world record. And all I could think about was just getting to the warrior and praying for good crystalisk spawns. But before I could even get there, tragedy struck. Don't do this to me now. Don't fly under the map, bro. Don't do this to me, you fucking stupid ass surveyor, bro. Dude! That's such bullshit, dude. What is he doing out there? I'm gonna be real, this run was heartbreaking. And the worst part about it was that I just had to swallow my anger and accept the fact that it was a skill issue. I knew that these surveyors could bug out and fly out of bounds, but I made zero effort to prioritize them to avoid that situation. And that was a lesson I wasn't going to forget. If I wanted the record, I was going to have to stop focusing so hard on the numbers and start focusing on playing better, because this surveyor just made it personal. So, one speed tech I've yet to talk about was dialogue skips. A lot of dialogue in this game can get blocked by other dialogue, and we could use that to our advantage to get through the game quicker. And on day 6, it was my goal to finally memorize them all. I kinda had to learn these by watching other speedruns because there isn't really a clear guide anywhere. So here's what I'm gonna do. I am going to give you the dialogue skip crash course. The basic idea of most dialogue skips is that you are selecting a mission to hear its kickoff dialogue, which in most cases cannot be interrupted by other sources of dialogue. And by using these, you could block other dialogue that would be slowing you down. Let's use Tina's badonkadonks for an example of how to use a dialogue skip. Now, usually after placing them, Tina tells you to poke their bellies when you want to set them off, but we want to skip all of that so we could poke them immediately. So if we play a mission like In Memoriam before we place them, Tina's dialogue can't be played because the mission kickoff is blocking it, and that lets us prime the badonkadonks as soon as we place them. When doing and setting up for dialogue skips, it is important to pick up these missions as other mission kickoffs are playing. Otherwise, you will just hear the dialogue as soon as you grab them. Most of the time, you'll grab these missions as you are turning in a story mission and the next one's kickoff is playing. It can be tough to remember when to grab these and when to play them, so I will also link my dialogue skip checklist below if you ever want to try Borderlands 2 speedrunning, which you should because it's super freaking fun. Anyway, day 6 was all about memorizing these. There might not have been any new PBs on this day, but I was leveling up my game. And on the next day, I plan to do the same. Day 7 came around and I felt pretty confident in my game, but I still decided to try some new strategies. I had the idea that I might be able to speed up the Badma XP farm if I went to Marcus's training dummy missions and got the slag pistol he gives for it. A lot of time doing the Badma farm was scrounging up grenade ammo from inside the dam. After some testing and practice with the slag pistol strat, I was able to cut my trips to the Bloodshot dam to a fraction. I did end up resetting a few runs because I wasn't sure if it was actually helping, but after some practice, I started seeing faster times. Also on day 7, we added our final tool to the kit, which were FPS hotkeys. So for some background, the Borderlands 2 speedrun rules require that your FPS cap stay between 30 and 200 the entire time. The minimum is to prevent people from lagging their game out too much and making the run incredibly hard to watch, and the 200 FPS max makes it so people with higher end PCs don't have an unfair advantage from all the things you'd want higher frame rate for. And now, Borderlands 2 is an old game, and originally I think it was only meant to be ran at 30 frames per second. So a lot of things in this game start to break when you start hitting those higher FPS limits. Some of you guys might know about this step in Sanctuary. It's pretty frustrating that your character doesn't just, step up the step, cap your frame rate, and look, it works. So anyway, yeah, sometimes you want high FPS and sometimes you want low FPS. High FPS is good for combat because you have more frames that can see your free scroll inputs and increase your actual rate of fire. And to demonstrate this, here are two Jacob's Thompsons. Both are the same and have the same amount of ammo in the mag, but one game is set to 30 FPS and the other is unlimited. Watch what happens when they are fired at the same time. If that isn't a clear indicator why we want high FPS for our Maggie, I don't know what would be. So you might be asking, well, what's good at 30 frames per second then? Well, a lot of things. Anytime Claptrap is in play, you want the game to be in 30 FPS or else his pathfinding is just really dumb. Claptrap! 30 FPS is also helpful for getting Jessup to open the door faster, makes the Bloodshot door and Lilith scroll tech more consistent, makes you slightly faster when sprint jumping, and gives you way more traction when driving cars, helping you get to max speed faster. And now jumping between 30 and 200 isn't really a viable thing for a speed run, and that's where the 30 frames per second hotkey comes into play. Using Riva Tuner, or as I kept calling it for some reason, River Tuna, you could set your max FPS to stay within what is allowed and hotkey to quickly switch between 30 and 200, so you don't have to waste time changing settings. Can you guess where I put these hotkeys? That's right, my mouse. I want 30 FPS, I press 10. I want 200 FPS, I press 11. This was super helpful, but good golly, does speedrunning this game take some setup? All right, so here's a basic POV of your second monitor when running this game. I honestly don't know how you do this with one monitor. All right, here you go. You got OBS streaming / recording the gameplay, live split taking up a chunk of the screen, River Tuna running in the background so you could change your FPS on the fly, the free scroll macro running in the background messing up your menuing, rewazed or a fucking Xbox controller just to revive Lilith, your route notes so you don't fucking forget for the 18th time, your Twitch chat asking you the most common sense questions ever. And all this visual clutter is accompanied by the rhythmic ticking of the fucking metronome you need to do Bloodshot Skip. Man, I should have just down patched my game, eh? Anyway, by the end of day 7, I was locked in and had a run that was record potential. Up until this point, it's always felt like I've been chasing Dark Smoke's shadow and just trying to catch up to his record. But when I seen a run that could be world record, it felt like he was the one chasing me, just adding an extra layer of stress to it all. And on this day, all I had to do was line up a boar kill. But the lineups just weren't lining up. I am no stranger to speedruns ending on a stressful note. But geez, man, that does not help the feeling of biffing it right at the end. Good. No, that was not enough, boar. No. Warrior, I hate you. Ah. I accidentally killed it. God damn it. Fire breath. Fire breath. Fire breath, dude. Fire breath, dude. Fire breath, dude. Fire breath. I really hit him off the tail. That's crazy. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see me bore that motherfucker off the tail? I may have gotten a PB, but having the record slip out of my hands like that was just really disheartening. So close yet so far, you know? My best run I've ever had could easily just be thrown away if I got bad luck at the warrior fight. I wanted this record so bad, and I felt my stubbornness taking control, telling me that I wasn't going to stop until I had it. But I was dreading the idea that I could be at this for weeks before the run finally shows up.
Hey man, how's it going? It's me, Mr. TX01, from the Mr. TX01 YouTube channel.
Hey, Mr. TX01 from the Mr. TX01 YouTube channel. I'm doing all right. Mostly just trying to get pumped, you know? Like, I feel like I'm so close to this record, but also so far away at the same time. Like, it could happen any day now, but it could also happen any day now.
Dude, you got this. Since when have you let a silly little challenge stop you before? A single attempt at killing Piston's Blimp is longer than your average runtime, and your Dexy fight took literally triple that. You'll get it, man.
Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna get it. I just don't know when I'm gonna get it.
I think the answer's been right in front of you this whole time.
You are, not wrong, not wrong. But you do realize almost nobody is gonna understand this reference, right?
Yeah, but you get it. That's all that really matters. So, we do it in 8?
You know what? Screw it. We do it in 8.
Can I just get a run in, bro? Can I get a good run in? I almost have 5K hours in this game and no world record? Cringe. God, I hate the rockets because you fucking shoot them out of the air. Okay, good amount of iridium. Good amount of iridium here. Oh. Stalker class mod. Oh, what? The Stalker class mod out of bad mod. Cool. I actually got slag. Cool.
Chat, where the slag at? Or that works. That was a 19 Maggie with Hyperion Grip. Minus damage. Was it Dastardly? Did you see Dastardly? If it's Dastardly 19, I'll just take it. Click on it. I'll take that. I actually can. Crazy. It hurts! It hurts! Boing. Here. I throw a grenade here. Dunk. What's with all the fucking buzzards? Take a step. Oh, there we go. Okay, okay, good. Just need a rack.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I got a world record in Borderlands 2. And not only that, but I also shaved 5 minutes off of Dark Smoke's time. I do want to give Dark Smoke a shout out here. While I was being silly with my splits and such, Dark Smoke was actually a lot of help while learning this. He told me some tricks while chilling in the Twitch chat, helped me set up live split, and just taught me a crap ton of stuff about the game over the years. It's also kind of funny because while I decided to take a dive into the speedrunning world, he recently took a dive into the challenge running world, so you should go check out his channel for some awesome content. But anyway, GG Dark Smoke, the record is mine. Oh, what was that? GG why is he talking to me like that? I have the record. No. Oh, brother, dude. How did he shave 13 minutes off my... Before you go, I just wanted to say thank you so much for making it this far into the video. If you want to support the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Doing all that helps with the YouTube algorithm, and I love hearing your guys' kind words and ideas for new runs. If you want to support the channel more directly, consider becoming a channel member to get videos a day early, getting yourself some gamer subs using code LGM, or going to gasmaskgang.com to get some merch. I'll leave my Discord and Twitch channel where I stream these runs live down in the description. And last but not least, shout out to Mango Soda, who made this video's thumbnail art. They do commissions and will also be linked below. But until next time, breathe easy, homies.